Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
And we'll also be talking about Ryan Coogler's latest collaboration with Michael B. Jordan, a completely original film known as Sinners. Dylan, welcome back to the show.
Oh, it's good to be back.
It's a little hiatus you had there. I missed you.
Yeah. I'm here now.
And very enthusiastic about it.
I'm ready to kick ass. Go easy on me. I'm a little rusty here. It's been a while.
Well, all right, let's look at some of the latest pieces of news that came out for the movie business. A lot of casting has been happening. The Hunger Games, the newest prequel film that they're doing as an adaptation of the latest prequel book. That's been, the whole MO lately for Hunger Games. 10 years, nothing, and now we got new books and then immediate adaptations to movies. So in this upcoming one, Jesse Plemons is going to be playing young Plutarch Heavensbee. Since, Philip Seymour Hoffman was the original Plutarch in the last two Hunger Games movies. And then as far as young Haymitch, who's going to be the focus of this film, it's his Hunger Games, Joseph Zada, and then the two other major characters of that book, which I have not yet read, but been hearing great things only about it. Whitney Peake as Lenore Dove Baird and McKenna Grace as Maisley. So
good cast. Jesse Plemons.
Love
Jesse Plemons.
And Joseph Zada seemed like an unknown, and then Whitney Peake and McKenna Grace both seemed to be unknowns relatively.
McKenna Grace was in something. That name's familiar.
Was in Gossip Girl, and McKenna Grace, I'm not sure what her claim to fame. I know she was in the Ghostbusters movies, the latest ones. I don't know if she was like a breakout star as a result of that, but she may also be a singer.
She's in Handmaid's Tale at some point. She played young Tanya and I, Tanya. Ghostbusters was definitely big. She was on Young Sheldon at some point. I don't know if that was a recurring role or not. She was in one of the Annabelle movies. Yeah, the good one, actually. I really like that one.
This will be her big breakout, possibly as a new movie star.
Yeah, possibly.
So that'll be something to look forward to. Greta Gerwig's Narnia adaptation. We also got some news there. Emma Mackey is going to be the White Witch. Emma Mackey, of course, was a star of Sex Education.
Did you watch that show?
We have talked about this at least twice before.
I forget every time. Don't judge me.
Every time I'm like, yep, I watched it. And then we're like, yep, it was a good show. Way better than it had any right to be. And then neither of us watched season 4.
Which is sad. Because I was excited to see where season 3 left off. And then I heard bad things. And I was like, I don't really want to.
They dropped the ball big time. So
yeah,
it didn't feel like it was worth going through those 10 episodes or whatever it is. But Emma Mackey was always fantastic in that show.
She was.
So I'm glad that she's now getting some bigger movie star roles. And this one will be a huge one. So definitely looking forward to her in that. Split Fiction. You heard that video game?
No, I've never heard of this before.
Really? It's I just saw it on like the Steam homepage a couple times. It seemed like an interesting premise. I didn't watch the trailer, but there's two friends and I don't know, somehow they get stuck into video games, but one is in like a sci-fi world and the other is in a fantasy world. And then I think the game is supposed to be like a co-op.
Oh, I have seen this. It's like a split screen thing. I have seen this. I have seen this one.
And I'm like, it's a really cool, interesting idea for a video game. Well, now it's going to be a movie, and I have no idea how they're going to
quick adaptation
pull that premise off. But yeah, it's a game that came out like this year, and it's already getting adapted.
And video game movies are hot right now.
It is. So they're like, let's go full steam ahead, and I'm
waiting for Red Dead Redemption the movie, man.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they get around to that. At some point, they're going to pull the trigger. But John M. Chu is going to direct the split fiction adaptation, and Sydney Sweeney is set to star at least one of the leads. I don't know who the other one is because it's not like it's the same person.
Probably Glenn
They're
Powell.
just two separate people. So we'll see who the other big star will be. But Sydney Sweeney, she's definitely her and the rest of her Euphoria castmates are in every new film ever. So good for them, staying busy.
And we got a title for the Sean Levy Star Wars movie that's coming out, Star Wars Starfighter, set for 2027. This is like the 6th project that they've announced as a movie for the Star Wars universe from Disney.
True, but this one's gotten closer than any of the others because
this one seems like it might actually happen.
An actor attached, and they've been doing the rounds. There's the release date, so it seems like they're going to go ahead with this one. And if they don't, then they'll just totally miss the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. But they're saying this will be detached from the main saga, but it does take place after the events of Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. So we'll see if they're actually going to be able to prevent some MCU-ification and have an Easter egg or a cameo in there. But at least for now, they're saying we're going to try and treat it as a standalone story. And
there's got to be a cameo or something in there.
Starring. I mean, I'm sure
there's gonna themselves.
But hopefully it's a good movie in its own right. Again, Sean Levy is directing it, coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine. So we'll see how that goes. But
Ryan
did you see
Gosling
the news
starring.
That Mikey Madison apparently was offered? I don't know whether this is true or not, but there was things going around that she was offered a role and she turned it down.
Yeah, because she has standards. She's a legend. We love Mikey Madison at this podcast. She's the best.
She is great, but wow, what a power move there! Being like, no, I won't.
Good for her.
Star Wars. I'll
stand by your business.
Find something else. So
avoid the franchises. Like, well, I guess Dune is a franchise, but Timmy Chalamet is doing pretty good as a young actor.
Well, he's finding a balance. I think he's got the new model. He's what you got to go for. And Leo is, the movie star of movie stars, so he's able to get away with it. But anyone else, like Timmy T, who's gonna be his successor, he's in Wonka and he's in Dune.
I guess that's fair. Wonka's
he's gone for the franchise route, in addition to other, but even the music biopics and stuff like that. So
Wonka's a bold choice.
Yeah, but it paid off. I mean, he's gonna get a sequel, so he got a trilogy out of Dune. So I think that's the way to go about it. You gotta play the franchise game. Hopefully, you pick the ones that are more auteur focused and incredible, like the Dune franchises. So I think I don't know, if I were Mikey Madison's agent or anything related to that, I'd be like, I'd say go for it. Have some fun, enjoy Star Wars, get that big paycheck.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure her agents were pushing for her to do it. I mean, they get 10% of that paycheck.
Exactly. So I would be like, please take it. Please, don't you love Ryan Gosling? It'd be great. So yeah, I don't know. I think I would have recommended her to do it, but it is, she's an Oscar winner fresh off of that. So
yeah,
I'm sure she's getting a bunch of offers for roles and she wants to carve out a solid career for herself.
I have faith in Mikey Madison. She's the best.
Yeah. All right. Our box office breakdown for April 18th to the 20th. Sinners came out on top with $48 million in its debut.
That is very solid. Very, very good debut for an original movie to do, an R-rated original horror movie. Very, very good. Fantastic. I mean, they've got the star pull. They've got, all kinds of Haley Steinfeld, Michael B. Jordan, everybody's there. But I didn't think it would do this well. If I had to guess, I mean, I wasn't on the show last week to make my guess, but my prediction would have been more closer to like the high 20s, maybe 30 million, because that's usually where these popular original horror movies make. They don't usually go past like 32, 33. So to hit 48 is solid. Ryan, what was your prediction?
It was 40 million because the projections were landing around there, but it shot up past it to nearly 50 million.
It's so fun to look at the projections for your guess, man. You got to just go bait on your guts,
I
It's
mean,
all about the guts. Forget the projections.
sure,
The
that's
guts.
true.
Feel
It's
it in your
also,
guts.
I mean, I knew what it got by the time that
Sure.
I was needing to make any projection anyway, so I just
Sure.
deferred to
We
what
do
the
tend to
projections
record
were.
kind of late sometimes. In
Yeah, that
second
happens.
place.
Yeah, it
Second
happens.
place. A Minecraft movie with $40 million, bringing its domestic total to nearly 350 and its worldwide to 700.
Yeah, you haven't been on the show the whole time while this movie's been on its
And it's
crazy
in my
run.
draft. And it is doing very good numbers.
So you're afloat
This
for
is going to be
now. You
top 10
got
for the year, certainly. So this is a
one
good
big
choice.
win, possibly a $1 billion film. We'll see, but at
I really
minimum,
hope
it'll
so.
be
That would be so sick. The
900
more
million.
billion-dollar films I can get, the more of a competition I stand against Avatar 3.
Indeed. So, congrats there. We got a competition brewing, at least early on in the year,
I hope Avatar
before
3 gets
Avatar comes
pushed.
in and cleans up. How dare you?
Dude,
How dare
that
you?
shit would go so hard. Could you imagine I win 3 box office drafts in a row? I three-peat it because Avatar 3 gets pushed.
Yeah, that would be absurd. But no, it'll come
That
out
would be
this year because
sick.
they did the whole CinemaCon presentations and all
It
that. So
will. I know.
it'll happen.
Sure.
Thank God. The King of Kings. Speaking of 17.5 million, which was a 9% drop. It was Easter weekend, so
Mm,
it makes sense that the Christian
indeed.
film was able to rake in a big audience.
The Amateur, the Rami Malek action movie, made 7 million.
Warfare 4.6 million.
Drop 3.2 million.
Colorful Stage, the movie. A Miku Who Can't Sing, 2.8 million. It's a real movie. It's a
Yeah.
real,
Yeah,
honest
yeah.
to goodness
I know
movie.
some people who went and saw it. They contributed to that 2.8.
And what they think, cinematic masterpiece.
They said it wasn't very. The one person I talked to said it wasn't very good.
Yeah, tragic.
There's only one person. Though. I'm not the big Hatsune Miku fan, so maybe the big fans had more fun than I did, or than I would have.
Okay,
I
did
didn't
you
see
see
it,
this or
guys.
not, Dylan? It sounded
I
like
didn't
you
go see it, guys. It
you had
wasn't me who
friends.
said it was
You had
bad.
friends
I had
that
a
saw it. Okay, Dylan.
I
Okay,
know a guy. Is it getting hot in here? It feels kind of hot in here.
you're blushing a bit, Dylan. Oh man.
Pride and Prejudice in its 20th anniversary made 2.8 million.
The Chosen, Last Supper Part 3, 1.5 million.
And Snow White rounding out the top 10 with 1.2 million, bringing its domestic total to 85 million and its worldwide total to 190, which is very low for
Yeah.
a Disney live action adaptation. In fact,
Again,
possibly the lowest.
it could be. I think it's well under Dumbo, which again was a pandemic film. That's crazy because once
Tragic.
again, we didn't even bring it up in our box office draft episode. Like it wasn't even on the radar for
Yeah,
either of us, even for our backup options or
for
anything.
good
So
reason.
yeah, we were well aware that it was gonna be a massive flop, and so it is. It'll remain under 200 million worldwide. Maybe it'll squeak past, but no, I think at this point it's done. We won't see it again. But as for this upcoming weekend, April 25th to the 27th, our box office predictions. We have a couple new films coming out that are gonna look to compete with Sinners. The Accountant 2, Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, coming back with that sequel, much delayed. What was that, 7 years after the original or something? And then Until Dawn, another video game adaptation. Well, this one seems to harken back to the old school adaptations where it has little to nothing to do with the actual game. But with these two new flicks, Dylan, do you think either of them can come out on top against Sinners?
Absolutely not. I'm surprised The Accountant 2 got a sequel. I mean, the first Accountant came out 8 years ago,
Yeah, it's been a while.
and I didn't think it was like very well liked. Not disliked, but I just thought it was kind of one that went under the radar that people didn't really take notice of and certainly didn't merit a sequel. And 8 years on, I didn't think it would come around. I saw the first Accountant. I don't remember anything that happens in it. Not a single thing.
It came out 9 years ago.
Nine
This is
years ago.
insane. Yeah,
How did this get made?
I
Somebody,
don't.
there's one
I
person, I don't know who it is, but there's one person who has been pushing for it for 9 years and they finally got their way.
wow. It made
I'm I just can't believe it.
86 million domestic and 155 million worldwide.
Which isn't bad for like a mid-budget action movie. That's pretty good numbers. But like 9 years on, when people like don't talk about it ever,
Well, maybe
very
in your
surprising.
circles, but
Oh, I forgot about the diehard accountant fans.
of which there
Uh,
was apparently many. It just became a streaming darling, and Ben Affleck
I
was like, you know
suppose
what? This is what I need right now. Post divorce, we need to go back to what
he's been
works.
post
The account.
divorce a while, man.
Yeah, but hey, this is just
Post
some
divorce,
this and
post
Dunkin'
J Lo,
Donuts.
post divorce.
This is all that makes him happy. Okay.
I suppose. I'm bringing in around like 22 or 23 million.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The
Yeah,
original one made 24 million.
yeah. I think it's definitely
Actually,
gonna do
yeah,
less than that.
24.7 million in its opening. So
Yeah, I mean it's still big name. It's Ben Affleck and John Bernthal, and it's an action movie, so I think it won't do terrible. But I'm gonna give it 23. I think it'll do less than the original, but I think it'll still do something. And Until Dawn, I'm giving it like 10, 12 million. I don't think it's gonna see anything. It's too different from the original game for people to care. It has none of the original characters, has none of the original plot, and I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to emphasize the pick your journey kind of thing, as opposed to like being able to like replay what happened in order to pick a different outcome kind of thing.
right.
But I just all of those games where they do that, they typically have very very good stories. I
Mhm.
think that about Heavy Rain. I think that about Until Dawn, the first one. I think that about um, I guess Until Dawn is. I don't think there's a direct sequel, but the same company made other sequels or other games just like it that feel like Until Dawn. But
Right. Well, I think there was
um,
another Until Dawn
is it really?
game. Yeah.
Hmm. And then Life is Strange, I think, is a good example of a
Oh,
game of
yeah.
that style.
That one had always had rumblings about an adaptation, but it never came to
That would make for
fruition.
a good adaptation. The thing is, when you adapt these things, I think you just have to pull the trigger on picking a story and just going with it, and not leaning on the choose the outcome kind of thing. And I think Life
Mhm.
is Strange is one that would be really easy to do because the whole gimmick of it is that you can go back in time and change those decisions. And so the character in the TV show or movie or whatever you're watching can do that, which kind of reinforces the narrative of those games while also still committing to a decision at some point to carry the
Right.
plot forward. And
But
I
that
don't
one's
think
also Life is Strange is like there's just one track. Like you can go and rewind and do whatever you gotta do, but that's like to push the plot forward. Like I don't think there's much diverging
there
path
is. There's
that
like
you have
there
to.
are different outcomes that you get. There's like there's 6 chapters in the game. There's like 2 events in each chapter that like change kind of where the game goes in a way.
Mm,
Overall, you still get to the same endpoint regardless, but like uh the little things do change.
interesting.
You still get to the end. Like it's still the
Yeah.
same final scene
Well, I
no
think the
matter how
ending,
you
there's the
played it.
one like the one big choice I would have a ramification, which I don't know if they carried over into the second game or whatever, but it's
I
just
haven't
like
played the
what you
second
choose to
one.
do with the town if you
Yeah,
leave or
yeah.
stay.
Spoilers, yeah. But like
Um,
there's I'm assuming since you know this much, you've seen like playthroughs.
yeah.
Then I guess we could I'm just gonna spoil Life is Strange.
Well, don't spoil that. I
Well
think
just
just you,
skip
speaking the
ahead.
broad strokes, but I think with like Life is Strange again, I think it's they would still have to choose like one of those two options. For instance, is like the final
Yeah,
thing.
certainly, absolutely.
That one, I think for the most part, it would be easier to adapt because a lot of it is just
Absolutely for
getting to that
sure. Yeah.
same point. Whereas some of the other like choose your own thing, a lot of the Telltale games also try to do that,
Mm,
and you can see
yeah.
like okay, how much does it actually matter versus not. Um, I think yeah, with Until Dawn, I kind of like the approach they went with like oh, let's have the gimmick of they die constantly and you have to start the night over again and then
We'll see.
find another way out of it. Again, nothing to do with what actually goes on in the game, but I thought it was a cool little premise they had. Some of the trailers did look pretty fun with how they were going about it, but I've not heard good things. The
Yeah.
reviews have not been stellar, so it doesn't seem like it'll connect with audiences.
No, it doesn't.
like fans of the
So what are you
games,
giving
and then
it?
people that don't even know that it's a video game adaptation. It's just you're now pleasing neither major audience, so
Hmm.
it's not gonna pan out very well.
What would you say it's worth then?
Um, Probably below 10 million.
Oof, rough.
Yeah,
And what
especially
about
if
Sinners in
Sinners
its second weekend?
goes
Another
crazy.
big horror draw. It's out right now.
Mm,
Spring Frights.
yeah. Now, normally, I would say something like probably 29 million, maybe 30 million,
Hmm.
because it would have
Yeah.
a good hold. It had great reviews, stuff like that. Um, but I'm gonna let you know, Dylan. I know the projections. It's
Hmm.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I also know the projections. Looks like it's getting a good hold.
Insane. So we'll talk about that next week. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, Sinners is definitely the go-to option for everybody this weekend. It seems. Actually, this time true. We'll talk about some of the other big surprises from the weekend. But let's talk about the film that is taken over cinema discussions. Sinners. So, were you able to see this in IMAX or
No, I kind of
traditional
wish I
format?
had now that I've seen more about it.
Mm,
And I'm gonna go see it again, I'm sure. And if I do, I'll go see it in IMAX. I'll try and bring some friends who haven't seen it yet because I think it's worth watching with friends, especially in like a big auditorium with a bunch of people. And I think seeing it in IMAX would be cool. Uh, I I remember seeing the trailers for this. They've been playing trailers for a while, and it's
mm,
been on the radar for quite a minute. And I like Ryan Coogler a lot. I love Michael B. Jordan.
mm-hmm.
And I did not think it was going to be very good. I didn't think it looked very good. I wasn't like taken by the concept. I wasn't like convinced that I was going to love it. So I went in, I guess before going in, I don't think I was even going to plan on seeing it. And then I saw an interview that Ryan Coogler did where he was talking about some of his inspirations for the movie. And he said he was inspired a lot by Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And
Is that
I
true?
fucking love that movie. So I was like, "Oh, that is a very interesting thing to point to. Is this movie good?" And then I looked up because it had already been out that weekend. I looked up how it was doing because I hadn't even thought about it even coming out until that
Really? Well,
like
that's kind of
until
crazy
this
because
point.
I think we had planned, or at least it was on the schedule, that Sinners was earmarked.
Mm.
We were
It
going to
was
be
like
doing
it was
Sinners
like a
for
thought,
Sinners.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I looked it up, and it was like doing incredibly well with both audiences and critics. And I was like, oh, this is not what I anticipated. I thought it was not going to be as well liked. I mean, it's unfair of me to assume that Ryan Coogler has always been well liked by both people and critics. All of his movies are very well praised. He's a very talented filmmaker. I doubted him, and I shouldn't have done that. It was a mistake. And I didn't know if he had the chops in him to like make a horror movie. I was surprised that it was doing so well.
Hmm.
And so I go and I see it. I'm alone, unfortunately. Nobody wanted to come with me, and my theater was packed with people. I was surprised by how many people were shoved in there. Because
Hmm.
the theater itself, when I was in the lobby, it was full of people, and I was like, "Oh, maybe they're here to see Minecraft or something," because that's still buzzing around. And then I walked into my actual auditorium, and there was people in almost every seat. There were people who came and sat next to me near the front, even though there were more open seats. But that doesn't matter. And I haven't like had audience reactions like that to a movie since I think Endgame, of like cheering
Really?
and clapping
Wow.
at moments. It was awesome. It made the moments even like they like we like screamed at the same moments. We all clapped at the same moments.
Wow.
It was great. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Wow. That is super cool. Cool to hear. I did see it in IMAX, and we did not have a as engaged
You guys
audience as
didn't like
that.
clap or
We like
anything?
no throughout
Oh,
the
you're in the
film.
wrong
No,
crowd, man.
it's wild. Um,
You should have
but
come sat in mine.
this one, because it was a horror film, so as you know, as everyone who listens knows, I'm not a big horror head.
You're a big
So
wuss.
I was concerned. I was like, okay, I may skip out on this, but as we have done many episodes before on horror films, Nosferatu being the most recent, also vampire related, I was like, I can be convinced, I can be swayed if an argument is made for the cinematic merit of that film. But I had already decided. I was like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do an episode on this, since I had seen the trailers. Again, some of the trailers weren't hidden, but
Right?
at a
That's
certain
what I
point, I
thought
think there
too.
was one where I was like, okay, I'm pretty down for this. And then I think the reviews, because the premiere I think was earlier this month in April, so
Hmm.
it'd been like 2 weeks
Yeah.
full build up to the actual release of the film, that we were hearing the critics' response, and it was extremely positive. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, let's go ahead and watch this film, even though it will have some horror elements. And I will say there are some of those horror elements in there, but it's very much not like a horror film. It's one of those that are like easily digestible for scaredy cats. Um, and it's very like fluid in the genres that it's tapping into. So
Oh yeah, love
most
that.
of the film isn't even like hitting that horror
Yeah,
tone.
this is
So
true. But I think it's such a strong choice, and we'll get into why. But I
mhm.
mean, there are so many like positives to that fluidity in which he dabbles in both western and like horror and
And
just straight up
musical.
dramas and musical, yeah, elements. The way that he like weaves them in all together is fantastic.
Yeah,
It works
but
so well. It's very much its own original thing. It has inspirations very clearly. One of them being Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, stylistically. I think for
which is
sure I could see the
insane.
connection, but it definitely is like still it's standing on its own two legs and is its own thing, which is very impressive these days to make something so original.
Yeah, but going into it, my concern was, is it going to be overhyped? Because
Hmm.
now I'm hearing incredible things left and right. A cinema score
I
was
hate when
at
that
a
happens.
97% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. Like for a while,
Yeah,
it
I
was at
hate when shit
100.
gets overhyped. I think it was hyped just the right amount for me to make me want to go
Mhm.
see it, or maybe even underhyped a little. Like it made me want to go see it, but it was way better than I thought it was going to be. So
Well, that's good.
I had a good experience. But for you, was it? Do you think it was overhyped, or do you think it was
But I was
appropriately
just
hyped?
concerned. Then someone else, one of the guests we just had on the pod recently, Edward, had seen it, and he was like, yeah, best of the year for
Yes.
sure. He was talking best of the decade, and I was like,
Oh,
calm down,
that's
like what's
bold.
going on?
Best of the
So
decade is crazy.
um,
We're
I
only
didn't
halfway
hear him
through.
actually say that. Someone else said it would be that, but I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have an overhyped situation. So I had to try and start suppressing a bit of my hype for it. And I'm like, it's probably just, people are enjoying
Mhm.
like the musical elements, and obviously that'll sweep people up, but maybe it's not all that. But I'm happy to report it's great.
Oh yeah, it
It
is.
is absolutely great, worth a watch in theaters on the biggest screen possible
I
as
need to
soon as
go back. Yeah,
possible.
I also need to go back because a little bit of a spoiler alert. There's post credit scenes, and I didn't realize there was one after the complete credits, so I didn't see the very last post credit scenes. I didn't think it was gonna be like a Marvel movie.
Dude,
I know
that's
Ryan Coogler's been doing them for a
because
while,
I
but
didn't know that either. The people I was with, it was the people I just had on the show last week, Alex, Hunter, and then Alex's mom, which I thought was hilarious. She also wanted to see it.
sick.
And so we were watching it, and then it like ends, and I'm like, wow. And then he turns to me and is like, yeah, there's gonna be some after credits. And I'm like, what? And then so we see that scene, and then I'm like, okay, wow. And then he was like, yeah, there's more. I'm like, what? Why
Yeah,
is I'm like, he
don't
got
spoil anything. I don't know what the like after credits thing is.
it's not I mean, it follows the Marvel formula pretty closely. The mid credit scene is significant, and then the other one is just there.
Yeah,
Um it's like nice, but it's not essential. Whereas the actual ending of the film is in the mid credit scene for
yeah,
Sinners. So
which I hate. Which we'll get there.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, I was like, this man's been in the Marvel sphere too long. He's putting
Yeah, right.
post credit scenes in his films, like enough.
It's like a
Uh,
muscle memory.
but
He's at the premiere and he sees it and he goes, "Oh God, did I do that? Oh man, that was supposed to
like,
end the
oops,
movie.
oops.
Shit."
But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive into it. Full spoilers now. So if you have not seen Sinners, go ahead and watch it, and then come back. But first, I want to say one of the reasons initially that I was not 100% in from the first trailer despite Michael B. Jordan being fantastic, one of our undeniable movie stars at the moment. But here's a little thing about movies that feature twins,
Mm-hmm.
where not necessarily twins, but just actors playing more than one character
Yeah.
in a film. I just don't like it.
Really?
I rub up against it. I don't understand why. But
So you
Mickey
don't like Tom
17,
Hanks playing every single character in the Polar Express, even the kids?
that is different and kind of awesome.
Yeah. You don't like
But
Jim Carrey playing all the characters in what is it called? The Ebenezer Scrooge thing.
again,
Uh,
kind of different, but like live action, seeing them again just occupying the same frame and everything,
you like
um,
Norbit?
just
Right,
not.
Eddie Murphy plays an Asian man,
Yeah, not great,
or the
not
the
ideal.
Tyler Perry Medea movies. Wait, no, he's just Medea in those movies.
Well, I think he
What
does
am I
play one
thinking
other
of?
character. He'll
What am I
play
thinking of?
a
Who does the movies where he
man
plays all the
family
characters
member.
all the time? Is it Tyler Perry? I think he's just Medea.
No, I think he has. I think he
He plays
plays
like
like
he plays like Medea's like son, where he's like not awake and he's just
yeah.
himself, but he also does Medea. I'm thinking of something else though. Is it Eddie Murphy? Because he does something else, right? Other than Norbit, where he plays a bunch of characters. I forget,
Mm, I don't know. Pluto Nash,
but you
maybe.
don't like that.
But no, I just something about him just not the biggest fan of it. I think it's just knowing like there's not actually two people there, and then so they're just bouncing off of some stand-in, and then all the framing that they have to do to like stitch it together. I'm just not the biggest fan of stuff like that. So Mickey 17, Alto Nights with De Niro, and then this one, it was like
It's a
three
lot all at once,
movies
yeah.
in 1 month. That was
But did you
all
like how
about
they did it in Mickey
these
17?
twins.
I think they executed that pretty well.
Yeah, I thought it was solid, and in this one as well. I didn't, although they do split them up in for most of the film, which I think is wise to do.
Mhm.
Um,
Was Alto
but yeah,
Nights good?
it didn't irk me so much in Mickey 17 or Sinners, but watching the trailers for like both of those, like that was something in the back of my mind where I'm like, yeah.
Not
But
even Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap?
again, it's
Really?
decent, but I'm just not.
Come on. The Parent Trap is a
I'm like,
classic.
my preference is just no. Like, let's
Not even Army
not have
Hammer and
that
The
actor
Social
playing it.
Network?
Let's just get real twins and put them in there.
Oh, so you're a Sweet Life
That's
kind
my
of
answer.
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You like The Sweet Life on
I
deck.
do. I love that
And The Sweet
show.
Life of Zack and Cody.
On deck as
Off the
well.
deck.
So,
Both
yeah,
on and off the deck.
in the hotel, and in that one movie, which do you know the guy that made that movie
No.
also made the Baby Geniuses movies and
Oh, your
also
favorite?
the Reagan movie?
No shot.
Yes.
With Dennis Quaid?
Yes. I was looking
What a
like
bold
just
filmography.
going through Letterboxd recently, and because I was talking about like that's like my least favorite movie of all time, the Super Baby
Geniuses.
Geniuses 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to see this guy's filmography. Like,
I can't
what
believe Dennis
else?
Quaid got Baby Geniuses to make the Reagan movie. Do you think Ronald Reagan would be happy with that? Is that who he wanted, do you think? He probably wanted Oliver Stone or something.
Here, let me see, because there's like a whole franchise. So he didn't do every single one of the Super Baby Geniuses,
Okay.
but he did far too many. Sean McNamara.
McNamara.
But he did the Bratz movies. He did both the live action Bratz and the animated Bratz.
Okay.
He did Sweet Life, the Sweet Life movie, as it's called.
Okay.
He did some of the Casper films. Casper,
Oh, I like
Spirited
the
Beginning.
first one. I like the first one. And I think I like the Sweet Life movie. So he's like hit or miss.
Did Cats and Dogs 3, Paws Unite.
I didn't see that one. I only saw the first two.
And then, yeah, a variety of the Baby Geniuses films.
I gotta say though, in his
Reagan last
filmography,
year.
the ones that I've seen, I do like.
Bangers.
So he's
Maybe
a
you should
pro
watch
for me
Reagan.
right now.
Maybe you'll enjoy it.
I don't think I would. I'm not
But the
gonna lie.
filmmaking.
I'm not a big fan of Ronald Reagan.
But the filmmaking.
It's probably the same reason I probably wouldn't enjoy watching The Iron Lady with Meryl Streep.
Orphan Horse is another.
Orphan Horse?
Yeah.
I didn't know horses could be
Again, his
orphans.
filmography is just like they're all very different type of things, but they all make sense. They're all of the genre. And then Reagan, like what compelled him to do it? I have no idea. I kind of want to go and like look at interviews he
He's
did
just a big fan, I
just to
guess.
figure out like what was going on here.
It's the only
But
guy that could get to say yes.
yeah, but anyway,
Dennis
where did we go
Quaid
from
coming
this?
up to
Oh,
him.
twins.
I
Yeah, so
love
sweet
Super
life
Baby
movie
Geniuses too.
banger. So let's just get some actual twins up in here. But
Okay.
so that was good. The other thing with Michael B. Jordan
Mm-hmm.
is with every movie he's in, it's kind of like this. A lot of his line deliveries and
Mm-hmm.
the way he's like performing as he's doing line deliveries, I'm not always sold on. But
Really?
his presence and his look, the like facial acting that he'll do, but more so just like the full body physicality
Mm-hmm.
acting that he does, I think is always incredible.
I don't know
And
if I feel the
so
way about Michael B. Jordan, but I'm not gonna lie, and I will get clapback about this from you. I feel that way a little bit about Leonardo DiCaprio. There are
really,
some times where he does a line delivery, and I'm like, I'm just not completely
that's interesting. I
sold
think he's one
on
of
the
the all-time
delivery.
line
But
delivery actors.
your screen presence and your commitment and your performance itself is selling me on the character. But
Viva
the
la
line
revolution.
delivery itself,
How do you feel
nah,
about him in
not
one
so
battle
much.
after another? The
Oh, I
trailer
think he's
is
great
always
in that
insane.
trailer. Yeah. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah,
Thank
stuff
you,
like that.
Sensei.
Like yeah, that is
That's
surprising
great.
because I don't know that there's ever been a false note that I've heard from Leo with his line acting. Again, I think his physicality is also incredible all the time.
I
But
think when he does accents is when it really hurts the most.
okay, I can see you there. But I don't. He really does like going for accents, and I was like, you can
Like
kind of just use your own voice a lot of the time.
I rewatched what is it called? Gangs of New York recently. I'm
Hmm.
not sold on whatever accent he's trying to do there quite perfectly, you know.
I can see that. Okay,
I think the
that's
one
fair.
time he did an accent where was giving really good line deliveries is Wolf of Wall Street. I think his line deliveries in that are fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. That night.
Wolfie, 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 Wolfie. So good.
But wow, interesting little nugget there. But yeah, with Michael B. Jordan, that's always a thing. I don't know. It just feels too like put on and like a
Yeah.
performance. And he's a very like you see his interviews and stuff like that, and he's
I think it's a similar
charismatic
thing to Leonardo
guy.
DiCaprio where he's committing really hard to
He's
like
trying to be too
selling
much
it,
like I'm a character now. Like let me
which I think
fully
is
be
fine. I mean,
this.
Willem Dafoe does that. I just think Willem Dafoe has great line deliveries nonstop. Willem Dafoe is like committed to being outrageous regardless. You know, he's
Mhm.
just there for it. He's very rarely like very naturalistic. And I think Leo and Michael B. Jordan are very committed to doing something similar of being there and being the character. And regardless of like how silly it might seem or ridiculous, like if that's what it calls for, he's going for it. He's not gonna like try and phone it in a little bit because it's a little embarrassing or because it might be like it might be like a silly line to say. He's gonna say it with gusto because that's what the character would do, even if it does sound a little ridiculous. And I think
Mhm.
that commitment comes through in the performance for both Leo and Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, with this one, like with all the films, like ultimately I'm won over
Yeah, he's
fairly
great.
quickly
He's
by Michael B.
fantastic in
Jordan.
this. I will say
But
though, the accent is tough. Like I think anytime an actor, especially an American actor, does an accent that is not their own, it is kind of like a hurdle to get over.
yeah, I mean, you can hear times here and there where it falters a bit, but I thought he did
Yeah,
pretty good.
I think he did pretty good. Yeah.
And a lot of the people around him, though, you could tell had like the more authentic ones, like Preacher
Hmm.
Boy and everything.
Yeah,
Um, so
bro.
yeah,
Talk about
but
line deliveries. Delroy Lindo's killing in this movie.
oh my god,
He's
he
got
was
some of the
amazing.
best lines. He was getting laughs throughout the entire theater. When
Yeah,
he
he
said he
was a
shit his
trip.
pants,
He
blowing my mind here, man.
was
He's doing it. I
hilarious.
love Delroy Lindo. He's great.
Yeah, big fan of them. It was a very solid cast. Like when it gets whittled down to that,
Hmm.
like 6 people, and then our vampire friend on the outside, and Haley Steinfeld was also incredible in this. So I very much enjoyed the cast. That's another thing too that kind of goes underappreciated with films like this. Like by the time we get to all the vampire stuff, and then it's the one night stands, them hanging out in the sawmill, and all the vampires are crowding around them out there. Um, by that point, it was like, okay, I know all these characters, like the basic gist of them.
Hmm.
the basic ways that they act. They all had their own like distinctive features and little connections here and there with each other.
Hmm.
And so while there wasn't that much time to establish all of it, I was like, I'm here. I'm with these characters. I'm rooting for them. I want them to get out okay. And so I thought that was an impressive little feature that he had in there. And the whole first act, which is very similar to in all heist films where we're gathering the team. I thought it was great that they just did that, but gathering the team for the juke joint and opening night that they're putting on. And so we get to meet all of them and see them get brought into the fold. And then we see that actual opening night. We get to see them interacting, talking with each other, drinking, having fun, dancing, all that.
Yeah.
So that was just a very smart way to set up this like little cast of characters that we have.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so very good stuff.
It's
What are
definitely
some of
like,
those?
I mean, I've heard Ryan Coogler say this. It's definitely taking like a lot of inspiration from Dusk Till Dawn by Robert Rodriguez in
Yeah,
the way that they are like setting up like the first using the first half of the movie or the first third or so to really set up all the characters and the dynamics they have and how it's going to play out in the rest of it, which is just like a nonstop action frenzy for like what you've already built. And I think that's a very smart structure to go with here.
100%.
Works
Which
very
is
well.
why it's such a shame that those trailers did spoil so much. Because
Yeah, I wish I
imagine the
hadn't. Yeah, if I had known nothing about the
surprises
vampires, that would have been so awesome.
like
In the
that
same
would have
way
been
that
cool.
I remember from Dusk Till Dawn, if you like look it up on IMDb, if you watch any of the trailers, it does the same thing. It spoils the fact that they're vampires, and if you read the IMDb like synopsis, it mentions that there's vampires, and it's disappointing because I remember I was with Spencer and Joe had never seen it, and I mentioned like, yeah, it's a really cool vampire movie, and Spencer was like, whoa, you just like spoiled like the twist, and I was like, I didn't even consider it to be a twist because it's just so well known that From Dusk Till Dawn is a vampire movie, like it's just like
Yeah.
spread everywhere. That the fact that it is a twist was it did not affect me whatsoever. But I guess when people went to go see that movie, if they hadn't seen the trailer, if you're watching it, you have no idea that they're vampires until they turn, which is very late into the movie. It's like it's literally
Hmm.
like the last third of the movie is vampires. So you have 2/3 of the movie of just like the plot and what's happening, and it's still intriguing and interesting and fun to watch. And then all of a sudden, vampires get introduced, which is like a crazy turn of events. And they very easily like could have done that same exact format in this movie, and they don't quite like they set up the vampires beforehand with Remick going to the uh, house initially, and the Indians like tracking him down and kind of giving away that he's like something demented, and
Hmm.
that there's something going on, and then they have the tease in the beginning of the movie where obviously something like
Yeah.
horrific has
And he shows
happened.
up working guitar and he's got like those
Yeah,
claw marks on his
I don't
face
think
and
they were
everything.
trying to go for that From Dusk Till Dawn plot twist, but I think it still would have been cool,
Yeah. But even
which is
just
fine.
not
I'm not,
seeing
yeah.
that, Haley Steinfeld had turned and then also one of the brothers had turned as well. Like it's
Hmm.
always a fun moment in the trailer. They do a nice little like chime whenever he turns his head. It's a great moment in the trailer, but it totally spoils that. It's like, okay, he's turned into a vampire.
Yeah,
Uh,
they even say the line in the trailer, "That's not your brother."
yeah.
They give away like a lot of the
Haley
big
Steinfeld
plot
says,
points.
"We're gonna kill all of you," and so it's like, okay, very
Yeah.
much we know what's gonna happen. So when Haley Steinfeld goes out to talk with them,
Hmm.
there's good tension in that scene, but it's like we know how this is gonna play out. She's gonna
Yeah.
get got, and same
And I
deal
don't
when she's
think
with
yeah, I don't think
Stack.
any of these I don't think the intention was for any of it to be twists or like
Hmm.
surprises. I don't think anything was supposed to be surprising in the movie. I think they were just trying to make I think Ryan Coogler was just trying to make a really fun, interesting action movie. And I think the surprises come from like the goriness of it or like the shock and awe of like walking in and seeing her like biting him and attacking him, as opposed to plot twists of any kind. I think there was like an intention to that for sure,
Right.
which is fine.
Yeah. In a sense, I don't think it's not meant to be like a crazy plot twist because we see it all play out when Haley Steinfeld is talking with them. But
Yeah.
again, there's
Again, I
supposed
agree
to
with you. I
be the
do I
tension
do
in that
kind of
scene.
wish they had held their cards a little closer to their chest in regards to some of it. I think I think it's a really cool shot when I guess we're just getting into parts of the movie, but when Haley Steinfeld's walking away from the vampires and the one vampire stands up and his eyes glow red and he launches
Yeah,
into
that was
the air.
freaky. That was
I
crazy.
think that's really cool, but I mean, I think that obviously very quickly gives away the fact that she's a vampire, which is the intention, of course. It would have been kind of cooler to hold that a little closer to the chest
Yeah, I would say so.
because they do the reveal too, where they're like, you know, making out. She drools into his mouth, and he like puts her dress to the side, and on her back is a bite mark. I think that's a much cooler reveal than. I mean, who am I to know? I mean, the vampire launching it was also just a really cool shot.
It is.
That
I
that
think
one
that's why
got
they
screams in my
went for
in
it.
my theater. I dude, I wish you'd been there. My theater was hype.
The screams happened at that point. What
Yeah,
were some
they were all giving
claps?
like
I want to
woos,
know
like
that.
woo.
What were we clapping at?
At the end when they stab, when Michael B. Jordan stabs the main vampire and kills him, when we think
Mhm.
he's still in the barn, people were standing up, dude, and cheering. They were so fucking hype.
Wow,
They loved it.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, that was not the
And
case.
they also cheered when Haley Steinfeld said that she was going to kill every last one of them, and then Michael B. Jordan, the one that's still alive, he takes both of his guns out immediately and shoots
Start
her.
shooting it. Yeah,
Yeah, they cheered like crazy when that happened.
that was pretty sick. Enjoy that one for sure. Uh, let's talk about maybe the centerpiece scene of the whole film when old Sammy, preacher boy,
Hmm.
pierced the veil with his
Yeah,
music, which they set up at the very beginning, like before they even start.
yeah.
They have that
It might be a horror
like
movie, but it's about
animated
the
sequence.
transcending of music as a way of bringing culture, the past and future of culture together into the present.
Mhm.
And I love that. That scene goes so hard. I was very taken aback when it happened because I was watching it. And I was like, oh, so cool. They bring the past out. They have like the West African tribes there dancing. It's very very cool. And then the dude comes out with the electric guitar and starts ripping it, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Well, that's how
And
it
it just
started, right? With the electric guitar guy first.
no, the people from the past are there first
Hmm.
because they say it bring connects you to the past and it has the people dancing, and then they say and the future, and then the guy comes out with the guitar and like the future gear, and he just starts ripping it, and I'm like, oh dude, this is so sick.
Hmm. And then a big old wonder all around the
And it's a
barn. You
I'm
see
not
all
a
the
big fan of
different.
Warner's, but that is a great Warner.
Again, I don't know why you're on this like anti wonder thing. Um,
I'm not anti Warner's. I think it's oversaturated.
that may be
I just like
true.
a good
I don't.
fashion
I
cut.
just
What
think
can
it's
I
a
say?
technique at this point where
I
people
think
can
it's an
use it
overused
for
technique.
to convey their whatever storytelling they want to get across. Hopefully, it has
My
some
problem isn't so much
added
with the
intent.
technique; it's with the use of the technique. I think there's plenty of people who use it uh, without any intention of like trying to say something. They just want to do something in a oneer, and I think Ryan
Mhm.
Coogler is trying to say something with his oneer or the couple of oneers he does in this movie. And so there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
But
wrong
I
with
think it's also like it's about just the feeling as well of like we're fully locked into
mhm,
this one shot as we're going around the entire barn and seeing all of
mhm.
the again these
Yeah,
cultures coming
which
together, the
is
past,
yeah,
future,
that's the
present, all the
intention, and that's what's
connectivity
great.
coming together there. Um, added note, it just looks cool.
It does look cool.
That's part of you gotta factor that into play here.
In
Can
this
it
movie, it looks cool.
be motivated by something story wise, narrative wise? Yes, absolutely. But then also, can it just be cool?
Yeah, I think there are
Maybe
plenty of times
somewhat.
where it doesn't look cool, and it's just noticeable. And I think particularly when it's just like a long tracking shot with characters, and they do a bunch of whip pans, and they do like they're like simulating editing with the oneer, and I'm like, you could have just cut. But in this one, like the oneer has a purpose.
Hmm.
It's great, and it does look cool, and I liked it, so I don't have a problem.
Well, that's great. We'll
Yeah,
see every time a winner pops up in a movie from now on. We'll get
please do.
your verdict on it.
I will give you the thumbs up or thumbs
Thumbs up
down
or
every
thumbs
single time.
down.
I also like
Um,
oneers when they're not very noticeable. When you can't really tell that it's a oneer because you're not really paying attention to the fact that there's no cuts.
mm,
There's a lot of times where it's a oneer and it's like a noticeable oneer. I mean, my favorite movie of all time is Goodfellas with the most famous oneer of all time.
yeah,
And it's a great
classic.
oneer. It's a great
classic.
winner.
And people
Yeah.
just want to pay homage to that. They're like, I
Yeah.
want to do that. And then a lot of people can't live up, but with
Yeah,
anything
no, almost nobody
Scorsese, people
does.
can't live up. So
Yeah. This one lives up though. This one goes so hard.
no, it's awesome. And I love the when it tilts up to the
Hmm.
barn, like the roof of the barn is burning
Yeah.
down. And then
Then
we
it
are
comes
on
back
the
down. They're all
outside.
dancing without the barn and the fire still around them, and it like pulls back, and the vampires are watching, like they can see. And then it finally cuts back to the vampire, and he goes, "I've been looking for you." And it cuts back, and the barn's back there. That's a
Yeah.
great use of editing to end the oneer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A great
These
way to
these
get out
are
of it.
these are like a filmmaker properly using these expert techniques, knowing when and when not to use them. And Ryan Coogler is very fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was peak cinema. It was
Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely. Ah, so good.
Very much enjoyed that. And then I liked a lot of uh, the stuff afterwards when again we get whittled down to just our six
Hmm.
people, and then the vampires are outside and they're having those conversations at the door where the vampires are trying to get lit in. They need to
I
be
love
invited
that shit.
in.
Yeah,
Um, so I thought all of that was really well done. Had a lot of great tension there, and the other like big centerpiece dance moment and song moment when that vampire's out there in the Irish jig
fucking
dancing with
love that
that.
shit, dude. It's so sick.
That was pretty awesome. So again, like
And they're
it just
all getting
became
groovy with him too. Every one of the vampires is getting down with the funk.
they sure were. So I loved that. Again, it's the things that movies are able to do so well, which musicals from 70, 80 years ago have figured out sometimes just having the movement of the camera and then movement of bodies on the screen. It's just delightful. And then add the music in there, which was exquisite throughout the whole
Oh yeah,
film.
shout out Ludwig Göransson. I mean, incredible score.
Yeah,
Possible contender for a nomination. I think it's pretty
indeed.
strong.
And bigger than that, man is going on a GOAT run. He's trying to become
Absolutely.
one of the all-time absolute greats. And if he keeps it up, he's on track right now. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I thought that was fantastic. I will say, once the actual action kicked off, I was like, this is the bad part of the Marvel influences peeking through once again. Because
Yeah.
the action, once they actually
Start
get lit
fighting the
in
vampires.
and they start fighting the vampires, not very good.
Yeah,
Not very
I
good
can
at
see
all.
that. Yeah.
And the other concern, there's like three people, like the vampires jump and attack, and you see them like nibbling on the necks of three people that fall down. Who were those people?
There
Because
were
it was,
definitely shots in there where like strangers were in it, like extras, and then they'll
yeah,
cut around and then they won't be there anymore. And I'm like, you should establish the space a little bit better so I know which extras are there, so that when
yeah.
they do get
But there was like
attacked and
no one
killed,
else. It was supposed to be
there
just the six
was.
people in the barn.
When they do the garlic bit where they're eating the garlic, there's absolutely a person in that circle that is like an extra that has no line.
Really
Yeah, I saw them. He's standing next to the girl who's like hesitant to eat the garlic. He hands her the jar. He's like at the
interesting.
very edge of the frame, and I was like, "Who the
Because they
fuck
didn't
is
even
that?"
like they were cutting around them then. Because I did not. I thought it was just those six people. I did not think there were any of the
Yeah,
other extras.
which
And
I
so when I
didn't.
saw, and there certainly weren't three extras,
Yeah,
but I saw three people fall down with the vampires attacking them.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
who
I
are these
didn't
people?
like that bit because they were obviously, I think, paying a little homage to like the Thing, where they do the blood test, trying to see who the Thing is, and then
Mhm.
ultimately it's a little anticlimactic. None of them are the vampire, and it just kind
Yeah,
of sucks that they threw the guy out there and he dies.
that
Like,
is crazy, and they don't really talk about the
yeah,
ramifications of it, but
not at all. Which
that's
is why I
so
didn't really like it that much. Is I was like, though, if your point was to emphasize the fact that you sacrificed a guy on accident, shouldn't you like bring that home somehow, like emotionally? Maybe it should have been like a character that was important or something
yeah,
instead
and
of just a
really like
nobody.
this is terrible, and we can't like
So it
trust
has like
anyone,
some
and
kind of
so
emotional ramification for the audience, but it's just like a stranger that nobody fucking knows, and then he dies, and then we're like, oh, that kind of sucks. Probably shouldn't have done that. Whoops. Let's carry on with the story.
yeah,
Or one of them should have just been the vampire. That would have gone hard.
yeah, that would have been interesting. And they do the fake out with Del Orlando doing the like, what happened? What was the issue there? He was like, I drank too much, or I
He
was
drank too much, yeah, and then he ate the garlic and was making him sick.
so
Which
that was
fair.
a
I mean, eating a
funny little
giant
fake out.
clove of raw garlic, not even pickled, would be kind of gross.
Yeah, but I did. Yeah, I don't know. Just once we got to that part, I think it was starting to slack a little bit, and then once it was
Yeah.
whittled down to just like Sammy the preacher boy and then the vampire, and then it was the twin versus twin.
Hmm.
Then I was like, okay, now
Started
we're
to pick up
back to
again.
being pretty
Sure. Yeah.
solid. But yeah, then
Yeah.
they
That
started
final
killing
battle
off.
between the vampire and preacher boy is pretty great in the water and stuff. It's
Hmm.
pretty great.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I like the way it ended there, where he had to smash the guitar over him.
Hmm.
Didn't quite kill him, but I thought that was
Yeah. No.
a good way to just showcase the end of that whole little storyline with the guitar.
Yeah, my
Um,
question is when he hits him with the guitar, I have some plot hole issues. When he hits him with the guitar, all the vampires react like they feel the pain. So whatever
yeah,
pain he feels, they all feel. So then when he gets stabbed with the wooden stake, which is obviously like the death of the vampire, they all start dying as well, in combination with the sun coming up. So
yes,
why in that post credit scene do Haley Steinfeld and Stack, why do they live?
that's a good question.
Is it because they
I
weren't there when the sun comes up? Because you can make that argument, but the
That
vampire
is
also got
the
stabbed in the
argument.
heart, and the other vampires died before the sun came up, and the sun came up and killed the last vampire.
Did they? I
I'm
don't know.
pretty
It is
sure.
weird that they would establish that there's some like original vampire gets hurt, and so everyone
Which
else
they
gets
already
hurt. Because
said
then you would
wasn't the
say
case.
if OG, and they did say that they were like, oh, we can't just kill the leader and then the
Yeah.
rest like get converted back. I guess she didn't say we don't
They
know if
don't
they
die.
die,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
um, so yeah, it's weird that they would establish that they can all feel OG vampire's pain,
Yeah.
but
I wish
if
the
OG vampire
rules
dies,
of
they
the
don't also die.
vampire. Because I think they were going on like OG, like pop culture vampire rules. Obviously, with like the asking to come in and the garlic and the wooden stakes. These are like OG vampire rules for like how they live.
Hmm.
I wish they had ironed it out. They don't have to say it in the script, but I wish they had been more conclusive with how it works. I think just like I just don't get it. It's like it is a plot hole and it's not
Yeah,
explained.
it was a weird thing there. I didn't take it that killing that OG vampire would kill the others. I think
You
it
thought it
was
was the
the sun.
sunrise?
Yeah, I think it was
I'd
the
have to
sun
rewatch it, I
that did them
guess.
in. But the pain they felt from when he got stabbed, maybe
Maybe that's real.
made them
Sure.
all incapacitated for a bit, and then the sun was able to
Mm,
finish the
okay.
job.
I think if you
But
make
yeah,
that argument, you can do it. But I think they should have emphasized the sun rising a bit more.
I can see that. It is a weird
I
moment
think if they had
of
emphasized the sun rising on like the horde of vampires and that being the thing that kills them and not the wooden stake in the heart, I think
yeah.
I wouldn't have any issues with like a plot hole. Because then it would be like, oh yeah, Stack and Haley Steinfeld were not there when that happened, so obviously they survived.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Yeah, I'm being nitpicky, I guess. Overall, my pleasure from the film comes from how entertaining it is, not necessarily the like nitty gritty plot details. Like it is purely so stylistic and so entertaining that the little things they aren't that much of a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's extremely entertaining, and so you're able to forgive a lot of the more heavy-handed things that they do, or the things that are a little underbaked. Because
Mm.
there are a lot of moments where they just like they straight up cut back to something because they think the audience has forgotten it. Like when she, right before they come in, Annie, I think is her name, is talking to Smoke about like their child, and she said something to the effect of like, "Oh, we'll be able to rejoin our family." And then it cuts back to when he put the flowers on the grave, and I was like, "All right, guys, I think I don't think we need to handhold the audience this much."
Yeah, there's a lot
So
of
they
hand
did that
holding.
quite a few times, but again, it's like whatever. It is, as we've seen from the success. I mean, it is like a mainstream accessible movie, so they want to, I guess, just make sure that emotional element gets across, which I do think is good that they added in there, like the history about the child that had passed away.
Yeah, him seeing them when he's dying and like him having to make the choice to kill her so that her soul is free and then seeing them when he's dying so that he knows that her soul got free and they're waiting for him. I thought that was a nice
Hmm.
touch.
Yeah, I wasn't very emotionally impacted
No, I don't think so
by
either,
it.
but I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know that we needed the. Again, I feel like we could have felt that because again, that's not necessarily him actually seeing them, it's just him imagining them. Is how I took it. So I was like, we
Possibly.
could just have had him like be at peace as he falls over and dies from his injuries, rather than seeing her like there with the child and then giving a child over. Again, I understand the sentiments, but it didn't really hold much impact for me. What
Sure.
did was him shooting down all those racist Klan members.
You fuck with that shit?
That went so hard.
Yeah.
And again, that was the issue. Again, that was in the trailer. And so I was waiting for that because I was like, that is a sick shot. I want to see that happen. I want to see
Yeah,
them
yeah. With
take
him
down
with the
those
Tommy
vampires.
gun.
But by
Yeah.
the time the sun was rising, and I was like, oh, so the vampires are going to be gone. So how are we going to do this? So I knew he wasn't going to die, and I knew there's going to be some like aftermath there,
Yeah.
which I wish we didn't know. But it was
Hmm.
still very cool, very awesome to see him unloading with that on the IMAX screen.
Hmm.
So that was cool. What do you think of the whole ending bit with that, or with Sammy, and then with the post credit stuff?
I'm not like sold on like the need for the KKK to show up. Uh, I understand like the plot point of like this is probably what would have happened,
Hmm.
in that era, but I just don't understand kind of where it fits into the vampire movie aspect of it, of what it's trying to say about generations and culture and music
Right. I
and
think it's just
the
saying
presence of
like
vampires.
those people, like the Klan people, were going to try and suppress and destroy the culture that uh, Smoke and Stack and what everyone was trying to do with the juke joint.
Hmm.
So not in the same way that the vampires were. Because interestingly
Yeah.
enough, the that like one vampire, the lead vampire, wasn't some like racist Klan member himself. He was just some centuries old Irish dude that was just trying to, see his old ancestors. And he was like,
Hmm.
this dude, this musician is able to do it. So
Yeah.
let's all get together, rally together, be vampires together, and see our ancestors. So I thought that was an interesting touch. But obviously, it's like it's killing them. Um, and
I don't know how much I like it being like an afterthought to the vampire story. I
mhm,
kind of would have enjoyed it more had the KKK got involved in the middle of the vampire story. Like they were like another element that both the vampires and like the core group inside the building had to deal with, of like KKK members showing up. I think that would have been like an interesting way to bring it into the story without it feeling like a forced thought, and also like just like an added tension, an added element to be dealing with.
mm,
I think that would have been interesting. Also, I
yes.
would have really liked to see him use the Tommy gun on the vampires. It would have been so sick.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And like
But
grenades and stuff, like that whole trunk, it should have been there. The plot point of like, oh, we forgot the trunk. Come on.
yeah, that was a little silly. And so yeah, it was another reason why I was like, we need to have something here. We need to have them unload that gun on someone.
Yeah,
So I think it was easy for them to just have the
it's a cool
the
scene.
clan people, so that it's like, okay, we get Smoke having another win, and it's not like him having to shoot his own twin brothers. So it's like nice as a big climactic, satisfying moment in the end, and then it's also a way to just have them die, I guess, since he had
Yeah,
nothing
I
else
just
to
think it
live
would have been a
for.
cool scene to have like these KKK members show up in the middle of the night, thinking they're just there to like commit hate crimes against black people, and then they're like trying to do that, and the people inside are trying to like are obviously like fighting against them, but are also trying to convince them that there's something in the woods. And then the vampires show up, and there's like a three-way tension between the groups of like they all are trying to kill each other and whatnot. I just think adding that element would have made it more fascinating for me,
Hmm.
and it would have involved it in the actual vampire story more, as opposed to just being like something that gets mentioned when the guy says that the KKK members are going to come and kill them anyway, and then being there after the actual events as like an epilogue sort of piece for Smoke to like finish out his story. I think it would have been more impactful that way. Of course, you could argue like, then how does Smoke die at the end of the movie? But I mean, that's what the writers are there for. You find a way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't take much issue with you preferring it to go that other route. It is like kind of tacked on there, but I thought it was fine. I
Mhm.
thought it was a nice way to
Sure.
wrap things up there.
As opposed to
Um,
Sammy taking the guitar and going out and living a full life. I thought that was sick. I don't like that it's a mid-credit scene though, because it
yeah,
is very much just the end of the movie. It is not. It is not like an epilogue of any kind. It is how the movie ends and how it's supposed
yes.
to end. So it should just be the end of the movie, and then there are credits, because credits come after the end of the movie. I'm very uh, tenacious about this point. I did not enjoy that at all, because there were people who got up and left because they thought it was the end of the movie and just didn't see that scene at all.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
90s vampire, Haley
That
Steinfeld and
shit
Michael B.
goes
Jordan
hard.
rolling up in 90s, like the most classic 90s
That
attire.
shit is tough.
That was great. That looked
Yes.
sick.
Yes, it
So,
did.
yeah, that was interesting. And then again, it like wraps up the story as well, where he brings out the old
Mhm.
guitar and plays it for him, and
Great
we get
scene.
to learn again, like the fact that the twin was left alive, like that resolves Smoke's character in a way to see
Yeah.
that he had decided not to kill his twin and left him alive, but warned him to like leave Sammy alone and everything. So we could see that he respects that ultimately. My question though is, so what have they been doing all this time? 60,
Vamping, bro.
70 something
They just
years,
been
like
vamping.
they're just going around killing people and
Yeah.
like where's their
Looking for
crew?
the music, man.
Where's their people at? That's what
I
I
mean,
want
he
to know.
promised Smoke that he would let him live a full life,
Yeah,
and he
he
did.
let Sammy live, but he ain't make no promises for everyone else
No, no,
that they
he
may
was
have come
vamping.
across.
He went out and vamped it up.
Yeah.
My question is that is that Stack, or is it a vampire in Stack's body? Because they make mention that, or the one woman says that they're hates at first, and then she says no, they're
Mhm.
vampires. A hate is like a soul using somebody's body as a vessel, but a vampire, it's not their soul, but their soul is still in there stuffed down, and then they can't like get peace, and that's why
Yeah.
Smoke has to kill her so she can experience peace and let her soul be free. So is that Stack in there, or is it like a get out situation where the real Stack is like stuffed down inside and there's like some empty void controlling him? Because the way that like the movie ends, it makes it feel like this is my big problem with vampirism as a whole, is like obviously you don't want to be a vampire, but if you end up becoming a vampire, as opposed to many other curses, it's not the worst thing in the world. You're still just yourself. You just can't go out at night and you have to kill people. Or you can't go out in the
Right.
day and you have to kill
Well,
people.
that's the thing too, where again, like, do they have to be drinking blood all the
Yeah.
time?
They also
Um,
say, like, throughout, they all seem very happy to be vampires as soon as they become vampires in this movie. They're like
yes.
overjoyed. There is no like pain that they have to get over of like, oh, I'm dead now. They keep saying that they're dead. So, like, they're
Yeah, they're
implying
just
that it's
out
not the
there
real them.
enjoying
They
the
say
jig.
it's not your brother multiple times, but it feels like the end of the movie implies that these vampires are indeed the real versions of themselves
Yeah, it
that
seemed
are
like
now
things weren't so bad for them. Like they were
yeah,
kind of
right.
chilling, and this was supposed to be the whole like again they were like the devil essentially, like
Hmm.
making the deal with the devil. That's the whole thing of
Yeah.
uh, Sammy being able to go off and live that
Hmm.
life with everyone else that he knew dead.
Hmm.
Um, but now it's just these two people running around, and they even say that they offer it. They're like, "We can make you live forever. You can continue playing and enjoying music if you just let us turn you into a vampire."
Yeah. And
And he's like,
hypothetically,
"Nah,
I
I
like
don't know."
the ending where he goes and instead of like becoming the religious person his father wants to be, he devotes himself to music to stay connected with his cultural roots, despite like the face of evil still like trying to chase him because of how strong his music is. I like that like ending for the character and for like the theme they're going with. I just
That's the other
don't
question, though. Like, did they? Are there like who are the other vampires? Where are they at?
I
And
don't
do they
know.
ever did they ever pick up on Sammy when he pierced the veil at any point in his again like 60-year
The ending
career?
begs more questions than it resolves,
Yeah,
and
but they're
they
interesting
are questions
questions.
that like I will never get an answer to, and it makes me like want to know more, not in a good way. You
Mm,
know, it's not like something where I like can go and like debate people about the ending. It's just like there's no point in debating because none of us know the answer except for Ryan Coogler, and so it's just pointless. You know,
Sinners
there are
2.
holes. Yeah, there. I don't think there's gonna be sinners too. It could
They
be, but I
might
don't think so.
90s vampires.
That
Come
shit would
on.
go hard. It really would.
I think it's possible with the way they're probably talking now because it's going to be a huge hit. So they're going to be
Yeah,
like, hey,
we'll
what if we
see.
get
I don't know. I
some
don't know if I'd
90s
be on
vampire
board
stuff?
for a Sinners too. I mean, I'd be like to have my questions answered. I just if this movie is dependent upon a sequel, does it make it as strong as like a? It's the same qualm you have with Across the Spider Verse. Is like if it needs a sequel to answer the questions you have, is it a very
Right.
strong movie on its own?
Yeah, it's a little bit different because there's again just the key like character arc that Miles is
Yeah,
on
that's
needs to
true.
get resolved.
Yes.
This
The key
one they don't
character
really
arc that
have
Sammy
that.
goes on does get resolved
Yeah,
technically,
it's not like
so
a
I'm
loose
fine with that. But I do have
character
like
arc.
plot holes that I wish would be answered.
It's just not very strong character arcs anyway. Like again, the like Sammy, I like the actor. I think he's great. I'd love to see more stuff.
Mhm.
Incredible musician, great voice. But like there wasn't really an arc to Sammy. Like yeah, he makes that like choice. But even throughout,
He was always
as
going to
the
make that
like
choice.
night is going on, he's not really struggling with it. He's just trying to survive. And then it's like, okay,
Yeah, I
you
wish he
play
had
that
more of like a
music.
qualm of like, should I be playing this music? It's
Yeah.
bringing
But
so
if
much
we don't
harm.
know, like if he never actually ran into vampires again or anything, then it's like there was actually no dilemma. So I
Yeah,
feel like if we
I wish it
had
ended
seen
with him
that, like
like,
if in that concert we had seen there were like vampires out there, but he was like still choosing to play and whatnot, like not Stack and Haley Steinfeld, but like other vampires. So again,
yeah,
the
like he's
danger is
still
still
getting
there.
hunted down and he's still
Yeah,
fighting for like to keep the music alive. That would have been a cool ending too. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. But yeah, those questions they're lingering there, and but they're not make or break for me. Like I'm okay
I
not knowing.
still
I don't care
overall it's a great movie.
for sure.
It's still like style wise and entertainment wise very very valuable and very very
Oh
awesome
yeah,
in
a
a lot
great
of ways.
time, a great
Yeah,
cinematic experience for sure.
yeah,
Um, Again, maybe not the greatest, best of the decade material, but
yeah,
as far as like original big blockbuster filmmaking, it
yeah. It's
is
cool.
just what we're looking for. Like this
Oh
is
yeah,
what we need more of. So
absolutely.
yeah, I'm hoping. I guess he's got Black Panther 3, and then we'll see
Hmm.
what else Ryan Coogler is able to come up with. I want to see more original stuff. Hopefully, Sinners 2 doesn't actually happen, so he can just be free to do
Hmm.
more
Yeah.
original work.
Don't turn this into a franchise, Ryan. Just go for it. Go make more originals. Your original
Just
movies
have
are
someone else do it.
fantastic.
Have
Yeah.
Sean McNamara or whoever.
Sean
Off the
McNamara,
heels of
yeah.
Reagan, he'll make
Yeah.
Sinners 2.
He's the
He's the
perfect
best man for the
voice.
job.
Yeah. Now, Ryan, how many Charlie Pat guitars out of 5 do you give Sinners?
I'm giving it 4 out of 5 Charlie Patton guitars.
I am also giving it 4. I think 4 is a very good, solid answer. It is just
Yes.
very, very much awesome.
There we go.
Indeed. That's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
And if you like the show, please give us 5 stars whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day.